Think Rich, Stay Rich, The Discipline Behind Lasting Fortune. By Imperium Audiobook. There's a moment every dreamer faces, when the fire that once burned so bright begins to fade, and life starts whispering, maybe it's just not meant for you. You've been working hard, doing all the right things, yet success still seems to play hide and seek. You get close enough to touch it and then it slips away again. But here's the truth no one tells you: thinking rich is easy. Staying rich is the real test. This book isn't about motivation that fades after a few quotes or the kind of hype that dies by Monday morning. It's about the quiet, consistent power of discipline. Because in a world addicted to instant gratification, those who master discipline become unstoppable. The millionaires, the creators, the builders, they all share one common trait. They do what needs to be done even when they don't feel like doing it. They've learned that success isn't a lucky strike, it's a lifestyle. It's not what you do once in a while, but what you commit to every single day, when nobody's watching, when nobody claps, when nobody believes. If you look around, life rewards those who stay the course. The disciplined parent who builds a stable home. The quiet worker who saves, invests, and grows their wealth over years. The student who studies after everyone else has gone to sleep. These aren't extraordinary people. They're ordinary people who learned extraordinary consistency. And that's what Think Rich, Stay Rich is about. We're going beyond the surface. No gimmicks, no empty promises. This book is your blueprint to build lasting success, not by chasing every new opportunity, but by mastering the art of focus, routine, and personal integrity. Because discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. The freedom that comes when your habits are aligned with your goals. By the end of this audiobook, you'll understand how rich people think, but more importantly, how they stay rich, in wealth, in peace, in purpose. You'll see how the truly successful guard their time, protect their energy, and live with a sense of inner order that multiplies everything they touch. We'll talk about mindset, yes, but also about mornings, habits, and the small decisions that compound into greatness. We'll explore how to rebuild your relationship with work, how to train your focus like a muscle, and how to create a life so structured that success has no choice but to show up. This isn't about getting rich fast. It's about staying rich forever. Because at some point, the motivation fades, the excitement drops, and all that's left is your discipline, that quiet fire that keeps you moving when the world slows down. If you've ever wondered why some people rise and stay at the top while others burn out after one win, this is your answer. So take a deep breath. Because over the next 10 chapters, we're going to dismantle every excuse, every fear, and every self-limiting pattern that's kept you stuck. You'll learn not just how to build wealth, but how to become the kind of person who never loses it. The journey starts here. This is your turning point. Welcome to Think Rich, Stay Rich, The Discipline Behind Lasting Fortune. Chapter 1, The Foundation of Fortune. Why discipline outranks motivation. Every success story you admire, every millionaire, innovator, or visionary, has one quiet secret behind the glamour: discipline. Not motivation. Not inspiration. Not even luck. Just the steady, sometimes boring, daily discipline that outlives moods, emotions, and seasons. Motivation is like a spark, bright and exciting but short-lived. It pushes you to start. It whispers to you when you're excited, when the idea is fresh, when your heart is on fire. But the problem with motivation is that it depends on how you feel. And let's be honest, you won't always feel like working hard. You won't always feel inspired to wake up early or push through discomfort. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. Discipline wakes up before the alarm. Discipline still shows up when the body is tired, when the mood is gone, when the world says, take it easy. Discipline doesn't chase emotion, it follows commitment. If you observe the most successful people, you'll notice something fascinating. Their lives aren't built on excitement, they're built on structure. They don't rely on being in the mood. They've trained themselves to act regardless of mood. When the average person hesitates, they execute. When others say tomorrow, they say now. Think about your own life. How many times have you made a decision in a burst of energy, to eat better, save money, start that side business, only to lose momentum after a week? That's not because you're lazy or incapable. It's because you were relying on emotion instead of discipline. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going when motivation disappears. Let's put it plainly, success is not built in the moments you want to work, it's built in the moments you don't. Every athlete trains through exhaustion. Every investor saves when spending feels tempting. Every creator works through doubt. What separates those who win from those who wish is the ability to follow through when the feeling fades. And that's the first rule of lasting fortune. Never let your emotions dictate your actions. Let your values and commitments lead instead. The myth of the perfect moment. There's a lie that society sells, the idea that one day you'll feel ready. Ready to start. Ready to commit. Ready to change. But that moment never comes. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. The discipline don't wait for the perfect timing, they create it. They understand that discomfort is part of the price for success. You cannot evolve while staying comfortable, and that's why so many people stay stuck. They want growth, but they don't want the grind that comes with it. If you study the early days of anyone who built something lasting, from Warren Buffett to Serena Williams, you'll see one pattern. They built routines before they built results. They woke up early long before they were known. They practiced the fundamentals long before anyone cared. They learned to repeat excellence until it became identity. That's discipline, doing what's required until it becomes who you are. Turning discipline into identity. Most people treat discipline like punishment, as if it's a restriction. But real discipline isn't about saying no to life, it's about saying yes to your purpose. It's not self-denial, it's self-respect. When you stay disciplined, you're sending a message to yourself, I can be trusted. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building inner credibility. And over time, that credibility becomes confidence, the unshakable kind that no one can give or take away. Discipline is quiet power. It doesn't post on social media. It doesn't need applause. It just builds results silently and steadily. And the beauty of discipline is that it compounds. One good decision today creates momentum for tomorrow. You start eating better, then your energy improves, then your focus sharpens, then your income rises, all because of one disciplined choice. The rich don't just manage money, they manage themselves. Real-life connection. Think about that parent who wakes up at 4 a.m. to provide for their family, even when exhausted. That's discipline. Think about the young entrepreneur who saves every coin, builds slowly, and stays patient through failure. That's discipline. Think about you listening to this audiobook right now, refusing to settle for mediocrity. That's discipline too. You might not have all the resources, but if you have discipline, you have something far more powerful. Consistency. And consistency creates compound interest, not just in money but in mindset. We live in a generation obsessed with results. Everyone wants to look successful before they become successful. But lasting wealth doesn't come from viral moments or lucky breaks. It comes from small, repetitive acts of discipline. That's why the poor stay poor, not because of lack of opportunity but because of lack of structure. And that's why the rich stay rich, because they don't let mood control movement. The formula for lasting success. If you want to build discipline, start small. Discipline doesn't mean overhauling your life overnight. It means keeping one promise today, then another tomorrow. Wake up at the same time every day. Read a few pages before bed. Save a fixed percentage of your income. Practice gratitude before complaining. These small habits are your foundation. Over time, they build a life that feels unshakable. There's no secret code to success, but there is a simple truth. If you do the hard things long enough, life becomes easier. And if you keep avoiding hard things, life becomes harder. Every disciplined act plants a seed for your future. Every time you choose structure over laziness or effort over excuses, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who wins. The reward of discipline. Here's the irony, the more disciplined you become, the more freedom you gain. Freedom from debt. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from fear. People think discipline locks you in, but it actually sets you free. Because when your habits are strong, your life doesn't depend on motivation anymore. You just do. You move forward naturally. You no longer wait for permission to act, you just execute. And that's how fortunes are built. Quietly. Consistently. Over years of small wins and invisible effort. When you master discipline, you no longer chase success. Success starts chasing you. So, if you truly want to think rich and stay rich, stop asking, how can I feel motivated? Start asking, how can I stay disciplined? Because that question, that one shift, is the beginning of your transformation. The journey ahead will challenge you. There will be days when quitting feels easier. But remember, every person you admire was once exactly where you are now, uncertain, tired, and wondering if it's worth it. They just didn't stop. And that's the foundation of fortune. Not luck. Not timing. Just relentless, unshakable discipline. Chapter 2, The Psychology of Patience, Why the Rich Play the Long Game. If discipline is the engine of success, then patience is the fuel. You can have the best strategy, the strongest mindset, and the boldest goals, but without patience you'll burn out before you ever see the results. Most people never fail because they lack potential. They fail because they lack patience. They want everything now, the money, the lifestyle, the results, and when they don't see instant progress they give up. But life doesn't work like that. Wealth doesn't work like that. Growth doesn't either. The rich understand something most people don't. Time is a weapon. They know how to wait, not passively but strategically. They see beyond the day, beyond the week, beyond the year. They think in decades while everyone else thinks in dopamine hits. The fast life illusion. Scroll through social media and you'll see it, the illusion of the fast life. Everyone flashing their highlight reel, everyone claiming overnight success. But here's the truth. No one shows you the years of discipline, the quiet failures, the long nights of doubt. The real journey isn't glamorous. It's repetitive, lonely, and uncelebrated. And that's why patience is power. Because while everyone else is chasing the shortcut, the patient ones are building something that lasts. You see, impatience is emotional debt. It feels good in the moment but costs you in the long run. You rush decisions, you panic when things move slow, you quit when it gets hard. But patience, real patience, is emotional wealth. It gives you peace, clarity, and control. It allows you to think instead of react. To hold instead of fold. The world rewards those who wait strategically. Look at any long-term investor. They don't panic when the market dips. They know cycles are part of the game. They understand that real wealth is built through consistency, not intensity. The impatient sell too soon. The patient grow in silence. The psychology behind waiting. So why do most people struggle to be patient? Because waiting exposes our fears. It forces us to confront uncertainty, and the mind hates uncertainty. We crave control. We want guarantees. But the truth is, everything meaningful takes time, and you can't rush the seasons of growth. Think of nature. A tree doesn't force itself to grow faster. It simply does what it's designed to do. It stays rooted, absorbs sunlight, endures storms, and in time it flourishes. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build character. You plant seeds daily and trust that they'll grow, even when nothing seems to be happening on the surface. The rich don't get frustrated by waiting because they understand compounding, not just in money but in effort, knowledge, and consistency. They know that patience is not passive. It's preparation. When everyone else is chasing trends, the patient are mastering fundamentals. When everyone else is complaining about results, the patient are improving systems. And when the noise fades, it's the patient who are left standing, steady, ready, and in control. The long game mindset. The long game isn't about doing less, it's about doing what lasts. It's about resisting the urge to trade what you want most for what you want now. Every shortcut has a hidden cost. Every impulsive decision steals from your future. But when you learn to think long-term, everything changes. You stop chasing money and start creating value. You stop worrying about competition and start building legacy. That's why the rich are calm when others panic. They've detached from short-term emotions. They play the game differently, with logic, not fear. They've learned to measure success not by speed but by sustainability. And you can train yourself to think the same way. It starts with slowing down your decisions. Ask yourself before every move, will this matter in 5 years? If not, it's noise. The long game mindset requires trust, not in luck but in yourself. You have to believe that your consistent effort will pay off, even when you can't see how yet. That's emotional maturity. That's the millionaire mind. Delayed gratification, the ultimate power. Every rich person has mastered one skill above all: delayed gratification. They've learned how to say, not yet, to comfort, to distraction, to spending, to praise, because they know the reward is bigger later. It's not easy but it's transformative. While others spend money to look rich, the disciplined save money to become rich. While others chase attention, they chase mastery. While others demand results, they refine their process. The truth is, success always arrives late, but it always arrives for those who keep showing up. Remember, the time will pass anyway. The question is, will you be further ahead when it does? You can waste 5 years chasing quick wins or invest 5 years building something real. The time cost is the same, the outcome is worlds apart. Real-life connection. Let's bring this home. That young artist uploading music online for years before their first breakthrough. That's patience. That small business owner reinvesting profits instead of showing off. That's patience. That employee studying at night, stacking skills for a better future. That's patience. Every person who ever made it had to go through the invisible years. The period where nothing seemed to move, where no one believed, where the effort outweighed the recognition. That's where patience shapes you. Because patience is the gym where character is built. It's what keeps you stable when success finally arrives. Without it, you'll gain fast and lose faster. The quiet reward of time. Patience rewards you in ways nothing else can. It gives you emotional control in chaos. It sharpens your decision-making. It teaches you to value process over applause. It's why the rich stay rich. They don't panic. They don't react to every market change, every rumor, every doubt. They've built an inner calm that comes from understanding one thing. Good things take time, great things take persistence. So slow down. Stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 30. Stop rushing what needs time to grow. Your pace doesn't define your power, your patience does. Because the truth is, success isn't about who moves fastest. It's about who lasts longest. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember this. The world will forget those who sprinted and quit. But it will always remember those who walked steadily to the finish line. And if you can master patience, if you can wait, work, and trust, there will come a day when everything you've been building in silence finally speaks for itself. That's the psychology of patience. That's the long game. And that's how you stay rich. Chapter 3. Emotional Wealth. Mastering your inner state before mastering the market. If money measures what you earn, then emotion measures what you keep. Because the truth is, people don't lose wealth due to lack of knowledge. They lose it due to lack of control. Every financial collapse, every bad business move, every poor life decision usually traces back to one thing: emotion ruling over logic. The market goes down and fear takes over. An opportunity arises and greed blinds the judgment. A setback happens and frustration kills consistency. Emotional instability is the silent thief of fortune. It makes smart people act foolishly and disciplined people lose focus. The rich understand this game differently. Before they learn how to manage money, they learn how to manage themselves. They know that without emotional wealth, financial wealth will eventually vanish. The real currency of success. Let's be honest, emotions run our lives more than we admit. We buy because we feel lack. We quit because we feel discouraged. We overwork because we feel unworthy. But here's the paradox. True wealth starts when you stop reacting to emotion and start responding with intention. You can have the best business model, the perfect plan, the highest paying job. But if your emotions aren't in check, you'll still find ways to self-sabotage. That's why emotional wealth is more valuable than financial wealth. Because emotional wealth gives you peace, clarity, and power, no matter the market, no matter the season. When you're emotionally rich, you make decisions from logic, not panic. You stay calm when others rush. You think before you move. You listen more than you react. You learn more than you assume. That's the inner game the rich play, one most people never learn. The chaos of emotional poverty. Now, think about emotional poverty, what it looks like in daily life. It's the constant anxiety over money, the impulsive purchases, the overthinking, the emotional burnout from trying to control everything. When you're emotionally poor, every minor inconvenience feels like a crisis. You react instead of reflect. You chase validation instead of building value. You mistake temporary highs for lasting happiness. The problem is, emotional poverty can exist even in financial wealth. There are millionaires who are broke on the inside, addicted to proving, to showing off, to staying busy because silence feels unbearable. And then there are people with little money but high emotional wealth, grounded, patient, calm. Their peace is priceless. Their energy attracts abundance naturally. You see, wealth without peace is poverty in disguise. Training the inner economy. Your emotions are like a financial portfolio. They require management, balance, and investment. If you don't manage them, they'll crash. Start by building awareness. Every time you feel reactive, pause. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? Instead of running from it, study it. Observe your triggers the same way you'd analyze a business problem. The wealthy treat emotions as data, not dictators. They use feelings as information, not instruction. When they feel fear, they don't freeze, they assess risk. When they feel greed, they don't chase, they check alignment. When they feel anger, they don't explode, they redirect energy. That's how emotional wealth works. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about mastering it. Real-life reflection. Picture this. A trader sees the market dropping. The average person panics, sells everything, and locks in their losses. The wealthy investor stays calm, studies the trend, and waits for the perfect entry point. Months later, they double their investment. The difference? Emotional control. Or think about the entrepreneur who faces failure after failure. The emotionally poor quit. The emotionally rich analyze, adapt, and return stronger. It's not luck, it's inner strength. The emotionally wealthy know that calm is their competitive edge. They can sit in uncertainty without losing clarity. They can hear criticism without losing confidence. They can experience delay without losing direction. That kind of power can't be bought, it's built. Emotional ROI, the return on inner investment. Here's a truth most people overlook. Emotions compound just like money. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you earn emotional interest. Every time you choose gratitude over anger, you grow emotional equity. Every time you act from peace instead of panic, you strengthen your inner foundation. Over time, that stability spills into every area of your life, your career, relationships, health, and finances. People are drawn to calm energy. Investors trust it. Leaders embody it. Loved ones thrive around it. When your inner world is peaceful, your outer world becomes powerful. And the reverse is true. When your inner world is chaotic, no amount of money can buy calm. Detachment, the secret of the emotionally wealthy. The emotionally wealthy practice detachment, not apathy but perspective. They understand that losses are part of the game. They don't fall apart when something doesn't go their way. They see beyond the moment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't cling. You can give your best and still let go of what's beyond your control. That mindset keeps you powerful because you can't be manipulated by circumstances. When you're detached, you make choices from strength, not fear. You become unshakable. You're no longer pulled by every emotion, you guide them. That's when you realize emotional wealth isn't built by avoiding pain. It's built by mastering how you move through it. The emotional millionaire. Imagine this. You wake up each day calm, grounded, and clear. No anxiety about what could go wrong. No resentment about what didn't work. No envy about who's ahead. Just gratitude, focus, direction. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you respond. And once you master that, you become untouchable. That's what emotional wealth looks like. A calm mind in a chaotic world. A steady heart in an unstable market. A grounded soul in an unpredictable life. The poor mind reacts. The rich mind reflects. So before you chase the next opportunity, master the one that matters most, your inner state. Because once your emotions obey you, success has no choice but to follow. You'll make smarter choices, build stronger relationships, and attract better energy. That's not magic, it's maturity. The moment you stop being emotionally reactive, you step into leadership, the kind of leadership that lasts for decades. The calm ones rule the chaos. The grounded ones build empires. And the emotionally rich? They stay rich. So remember this. You don't master the market by mastering charts. You master the market by mastering yourself. That's emotional wealth, the invisible fortune behind every lasting empire. Chapter 4. The Power of Consistency, Why Winners Don't Stop When It's Boring. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. The secret to success isn't intensity, it's consistency. Anyone can wake up inspired for a week. Anyone can grind hard for a month. But the ones who truly rise? They're the ones who keep showing up long after the excitement fades. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It doesn't trend. It's quiet, repetitive, and often unnoticed. But it's what separates those who talk about goals from those who live them. Because success doesn't happen in big moments, it happens in small habits repeated daily. You don't get rich from one smart decision. You get rich from hundreds of small, smart decisions, compounded over time. You don't build strength from one intense workout. You build it from showing up when you're tired, when it's raining, when no one's watching. Consistency is the bridge between desire and destiny. The discipline of repetition. We live in a world addicted to newness. Everyone wants to start something, few want to sustain it. But all growth, all mastery, all wealth, they come from repetition. Repetition builds reputation. Repetition builds results. Look at any professional athlete, musician, or entrepreneur. They're not doing something wildly different every day. They're doing the same fundamentals over and over until they become second nature. Success in its purest form is boredom mastered. The average person gets bored and quits. The successful person gets bored and continues anyway. They've learned that boredom is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that mastery is forming. Because real consistency isn't about doing what's exciting. It's about doing what's necessary. Why consistency feels hard? Let's be honest. Consistency is hard because it's slow. You won't always see the results right away. You'll put in work day after day and it'll feel like nothing's changing. That's where most people give up. They confuse lack of visible progress with lack of progress altogether. But think about it, does a seed show signs of growth on day one? No. The real transformation happens underground in silence. The roots grow before the fruits show. Your habits work the same way. You might not see change daily, but your consistency is building invisible momentum. Then one day, everything clicks and people call it overnight success. But you'll know the truth, it wasn't overnight. It was every night. The compound effect. Consistency compounds. Every action, no matter how small, builds on the last. You might not notice much difference between saving $10 or skipping it, but multiply that by 365 days, that's $3,650 plus growth. Do it for 5 years and it becomes something real. The same applies to your routines, your learning, your fitness, your relationships. Tiny acts, done consistently, create massive returns. That's the same principle that makes the wealthy stay wealthy. They compound habits the same way they compound money. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years and overestimate what they can do in 1. Consistency corrects that imbalance. The emotional side of consistency. Consistency isn't just a physical act, it's emotional endurance. It's what keeps you grounded when results take time. You'll have days when you don't feel like showing up. Days when your effort feels invisible. Days when no one notices your grind. That's when consistency matters most. It's easy to stay consistent when life applauds you. But can you stay consistent when life is silent? That's the test. Because every great success story had a season of silence. A time when no one cared, no one clapped, and no one believed. The winners kept going anyway. They didn't need motivation, they had momentum. Real-life connection. Think about your favorite brands, Apple, Nike, Coca-Cola. They didn't become household names overnight. They earned trust through years of showing up with the same quality, the same message, the same effort. Or think about your own habits. Brushing your teeth, drinking water, checking your phone. None of those are exciting, but you do them daily because they're ingrained. That's the power of consistency. Once a habit becomes part of your identity, it no longer feels like effort. The same applies to wealth. When saving becomes your nature. When learning becomes your reflex. When persistence becomes your identity, success follows naturally. Systems over feelings. The rich don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. A system doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask for inspiration. It just works when you do. When your day is structured, discipline becomes easier. You don't waste energy deciding what to do, you just execute. If you wake up and wait to feel ready, you've already lost the day. But if your system says, I wake up, journal, train, and plan before 8 a.m., you don't have to think. You just act. The wealthy automate their success, not through shortcuts but through structure. Consistency is not a matter of willpower, it's a matter of design. The identity shift. Here's the secret. You don't need to try to be consistent. You need to become the kind of person who is. Stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. Start saying, I am disciplined. Stop saying, I'll try to save money. Start saying, I'm the kind of person who manages money well. Identity drives consistency. You will always act according to who you believe you are. If you believe you're lazy, you'll act lazy. If you believe you're consistent, your actions will follow. So instead of chasing motivation, build identity, the kind that makes consistency natural. The reward of repetition. The longer you stay consistent, the more your life compounds. Doors open. Skills sharpen. Confidence grows. Consistency builds self-trust, the rarest currency in the world. Because when you trust yourself to follow through, you stop seeking external validation. That's why consistency feels powerful. It turns discipline into destiny. Most people chase big breaks. But those who win, they create them through small, consistent acts of excellence repeated over time. So if you ever feel like quitting because progress feels slow, remember this. The person who keeps going will always outlast the one who starts fast and fades. Final thought. Consistency isn't about doing more, it's about doing enough, often enough, for long enough. If you can show up when it's easy and keep showing up when it's not, you've already beaten most people. Because while the world obsesses over perfection, the consistent quietly build empires. So don't stop when it's boring. Don't quit when it's quiet. Don't pause because no one's clapping. The results are coming, they're just waiting for your consistency to match your dreams. That's the power of staying the course. That's the rhythm of lasting fortune. And that's why winners don't stop when it's boring, they build while others rest. Chapter 5. Money Habits, Turning Every Dollar into a Decision. Money isn't just currency. It's communication. It speaks the truth about who we are, what we value, and how disciplined we've become. Most people chase money like it's running away from them, but the truth is, money is attracted to structure, respect, and intention. The rich don't just earn more, they handle more. And how you handle a little is exactly how you'll handle a lot. Every dollar that enters your life is a test, not of luck, but of discipline. The question isn't, how much can you make? It's, how much can you manage wisely, consistently, and purposefully? Because wealth doesn't come from what you earn. It comes from what you keep, what you grow, and what you use intelligently. The hidden psychology of money. Money has emotions, not in itself but in how it triggers ours. When you have little, it stirs fear. When you gain some, it triggers excitement. When you lose it, it awakens anxiety. That's why before mastering money, you must master your emotions about it. If you see money as power, you'll chase it blindly. If you see it as security, you'll hoard it. If you see it as energy, something that flows through systems of value, you'll learn to use it with balance. The modern millionaire doesn't worship money. They understand it. They treat it like a tool, powerful when respected, destructive when misused. Money doesn't change you. It amplifies you. If you're careless, you'll become more careless. If you're disciplined, you'll become unstoppable. From spending to strategy. Most people spend emotionally and justify logically. They buy to feel something, comfort, validation, relief, belonging. But rich thinkers reverse that equation. They decide logically, then spend intentionally. Before they buy, they ask, does this bring value or vanity? Will this grow me or slow me? Does this align with the life I'm building? Every purchase is a decision, not about the item but about the identity of the person buying it. That's why high performers live by a code. Every shilling has a mission. Money that isn't assigned a purpose gets wasted. When you give your money a job, investment, savings, growth, learning, it starts working for you even when you're sleeping. That's how the disciplined build wealth. They make their money their employee. The power of the financial routine. Just like the gym builds muscle, financial discipline builds stability. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need systems that guide your flow. A simple 3-step code can change your relationship with money forever. Track it. Every shilling you earn, every one you spend. Awareness creates accountability. Divide it. Create percentages that serve your future. 50% for essentials. 30% for growth and investment. 10% for learning and giving. 10% for freedom and fun. Automate it. Don't wait to remember to save or invest. Make it automatic. Let your structure work harder than your emotions. Because when your system is automated, you stop reacting to money and start commanding it. Wealth doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who plan. Money habits that build lasting fortune. There are 5 habits that the financially disciplined never skip. Not because they're rich but because these habits made them rich. 1. They think long-term. They don't trade time for small pleasures that destroy their compound growth. They play the long game. Patience pays more than impulsiveness ever will. 2. They pay themselves first. Before the bills, before the outings, before the impulse, they save and invest. Every time they earn, they keep a portion as a sign of respect for their future self. 3. They study their finances. Money doesn't scare them, they study it like language. They learn investing, budgeting, and risk because ignorance is more expensive than education. 4. They delay gratification. While others flex early, they build silently. They know wealth whispers but poverty screams. 5. They live below their income even when it grows. Their ego doesn't expand with their paycheck. They let lifestyle trail behind income, not the other way around. That's how wealth lasts. Not through luck but through discipline. Emotional wealth, the hidden fortune. Financial wealth means nothing if emotional wealth is missing. Because money can buy peace of mind but not inner peace. There's a difference between having a rich life and a rich lifestyle. A lifestyle looks rich. It's loud, shiny, temporary. A rich life feels rich. It's calm, quiet, and secure. True wealth is waking up without panic, living without debt anxiety, and sleeping knowing your money serves you, not the other way around. That's emotional freedom. And it's only achieved through consistent money discipline. Building respect for money. Every dollar you disrespect will eventually leave. Every dollar you value will bring friends. Respect for money means respecting how it flows, in, through, and out of your life. It means paying attention, not letting it leak through careless habits or emotional decisions. When you learn to respect the small amounts, you attract bigger ones. If you can't manage 10,000, you won't handle 100,000. If you can't save 1,000, you won't grow 10,000. Money grows with your mindset, not your income. The discipline behind generational wealth. Anyone can make money once. Few can keep it long enough to change generations. Generational wealth isn't built by chance, it's built by choices. Choices to save, invest, and teach. Choices to delay gratification so that the next generation starts from a higher level than you did. It's the discipline of planting trees whose shade you may never sit under. When you reach that level of money maturity, you stop asking, how much can I earn? And start asking, how much can I leave behind better than I found it? That's how legacy thinkers move. They see wealth as a relay race, not a solo sprint. The real-world connection. Let's bring it home. Imagine two people earning the same salary. One spends emotionally, the other spends intentionally. 5 years later, the first is still broke, chasing the next big thing. The second has investments, savings, and peace of mind. Same income. Different discipline. Different future. It's never about how much you make, it's always about how you manage what you make. You don't need to be born rich to die rich. You need structure, patience, and respect for your resources. Final thought. Money doesn't reward speed, it rewards discipline. If you learn to give every dollar direction, your financial life transforms. You stop chasing, you start commanding. You stop surviving, you start strategizing. Because the goal isn't to get rich fast. The goal is to get rich forever. And that only happens when you treat every dollar like a decision, not decoration. That's the quiet power of wealth. That's the rhythm of discipline. That's how you think rich and stay rich. Chapter 6. The Cost of Comfort. Why average is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. It doesn't scream, it doesn't strike, it whispers. It convinces you you're okay where you are. It numbs the urgency to evolve. And that's why most people never rise beyond almost. They almost start the business. They almost take the risk. They almost change their habits. Then they settle, not because they can't do more, but because comfort convinced them they didn't need to. The cost of comfort isn't pain. It's potential. Every dream dies in the same place, in the arms of comfort. The trap of good enough. You don't wake up one day and decide to be average. It happens slowly when you start tolerating good enough. When you tell yourself, at least I have a job. When you say, at least I'm not broke. When you whisper, at least I'm better than most. But at least is the language of limitation. The truly wealthy never settle at good enough. They see it as a trap. Because good enough is where dreams go to sleep. Every level of success you see was once uncomfortable for someone. But they grew into it. And once they got there, they didn't stop, they expanded again. Growth doesn't stop at success. It begins there. Comfort feels safe but costs you freedom. Here's the paradox. The more comfortable you get, the less control you actually have. When your comfort zone defines you, you stop defining your own future. Comfort makes you predictable. Predictable people don't grow, they maintain. And maintenance is not mastery. The rich understand this deeply. That's why they keep pushing when others relax. They don't get addicted to applause, they get addicted to evolution. Because comfort feels like freedom, but it's a form of quiet captivity. It locks you into routines that don't stretch you. It makes you afraid of change. It turns your potential into a story of what could have been. The pain of growth is cheaper than the price of regret. Growth hurts, no one denies that. It's uncomfortable, uncertain, inconvenient. But so is regret. Only regret lasts longer. Ask anyone who played it safe for years, the job they hated but stayed in, the opportunity they delayed, the goals they postponed, until the right time. They'll all tell you the same thing. Comfort wasn't worth it. The pain of discipline costs minutes. The pain of regret costs decades. That's why the wealthy embrace discomfort. They understand that each challenge you survive raises your value, not just financially but mentally. You can't grow without friction. Pressure creates diamonds, not pillows. The comfort zone has hidden traps. Comfort is sneaky. It hides behind logic. It tells you, you deserve to rest, when you haven't earned it. It tells you, play it safe, when risk is exactly what you need. It tells you, be grateful, when gratitude is being used as a shield for complacency. Gratitude doesn't mean stagnation. You can be grateful and still want more. That's the difference between comfort and contentment. Comfort says, stop here. Contentment says, I'm thankful for now, but I'm still growing. The rich live in contentment, not comfort. How average becomes a lifestyle. Average isn't just a state, it's a habit. The habit of lowering your standards just enough to stay unchallenged. You start by skipping one workout, then two. You postpone one goal, then a month. You say, I'll start next week, until weeks turn into years. Soon, mediocrity becomes familiar, and familiarity becomes comfort. That's how entire lives end up unfulfilled. Not from failure, but from slow, silent settling. The emotional weight of comfort. Comfort doesn't just affect your bank account, it affects your spirit. It dulls your excitement for life. It steals your hunger. It replaces your ambition with routines that feel safe but leave you empty. That's why so many people feel tired, even when they're doing less. Their soul is exhausted, not their body. Because deep down they know they're meant for more, but they keep avoiding the climb. Fulfillment doesn't come from easy. It It comes from effort that matters. You'll never meet a fulfilled person who stayed in their comfort zone. You'll meet content ones, yes, but never fulfilled ones. How the wealthy use discomfort. The wealthy and the high performers do something radical. They schedule discomfort. They seek challenge intentionally. They do cold showers, intense workouts, new ventures, public speaking, rejection. Not because they enjoy pain, but because they train for resilience. They know comfort weakens you. And if you don't challenge yourself, life eventually will, and it won't ask permission. When you get comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. You stop being surprised by challenges. You stop running from change. You start seeing every discomfort as a signal. You're growing again. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. Real-life reflections. Think about people you admire, the entrepreneurs, artists, or leaders who changed their industries. None of them lived comfortably. Elon Musk slept on factory floors. Steve Jobs built in a garage. Oprah faced rejection after rejection. Discomfort was their classroom. Failure was their tuition. Meanwhile, the world around them was resting, waiting, watching, comfortable. And comfort never made history. Every big move, every great invention, every new level of success came from someone who said, "Comfort can't have me." Breaking the comfort code. So how do you escape the trap? You start by making discomfort your ally, not your enemy. Recognize it early. The moment you feel too okay, check yourself. Growth hides just beyond that feeling. Do one hard thing daily. Send the email. Make the call. Wake up earlier. Confront the fear. Train your willpower like a muscle. Rewire your relationship with struggle. Stop seeing challenges as punishment. See them as invitations. Each one reveals a stronger version of you. Surround yourself with movers. Comfort thrives in crowds of complainers. Growth thrives in circles of grinders. Choose wisely. The true reward of discomfort. When you live beyond comfort, you build confidence, the kind that doesn't need validation. You stop fearing what's next because you've proven to yourself you can handle what's now. And that's the real definition of wealth, not just financial comfort but mental freedom. Freedom to take risks. Freedom to grow. Freedom to evolve. The average person waits for permission to change. The disciplined person creates discomfort on purpose because they know, the harder the climb, the higher the view. Final thought. Comfort costs you your calling. Feels soft, but it hardens your growth. Feels safe, but it keeps you stuck. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you trade long-term fulfillment for short-term relief. So choose discomfort, not because it's pleasant, but because it's profitable. Choose to grow when you could coast. Choose to rise when you could rest. Because fortune favors the uncomfortable. And every level of greatness demands a little pain, a little pressure, and a lot of persistence. That's the cost of comfort. That's the price of greatness. And that's how you think rich, stay rich, and never settle for average again. Chapter 7. The Network Effect. How relationships multiply your results. If you show me your circle, I'll show you your ceiling. Success isn't built in isolation. It's built through connection, with people who challenge you, sharpen you, and elevate how you think. Every millionaire, every high performer, every disciplined winner understands this. Your environment is not neutral. It's either feeding your fire or slowly killing it. People are energy. Some recharge you. Some drain you. Some reveal your potential. And some remind you of your past. The difference between who you are and who you're becoming often depends on who you're standing next to. Your circle is your mirror. We like to believe we make our choices independently, but in truth, our environment shapes most of them. If you spend time with 5 complainers, you'll become the 6th. If you spend time with 5 investors, you'll start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. Energy is contagious, and your circle sets your standard. That's why the rich and disciplined are deliberate about proximity. They curate their circle like an investment portfolio. Every connection must add value, inspire growth, or offer accountability. Because the wrong people cost more than money. They cost momentum. The law of association. There's a simple law that never fails. You rise or fall to the level of your circle. Average people surround themselves with comfort. High performers surround themselves with challenge. When you're the smartest, most driven, most ambitious person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because that room can't stretch you. It can only applaud you. And applause doesn't build empires, challenge does. So if your conversations aren't stretching your thinking, if your friends don't question your habits, if your circle doesn't hold you accountable, you're not in a growth environment. The disciplined don't crave validation. They crave elevation. The silent influence of energy. Not everyone who smiles at you supports you. Some people clap because it's polite, not because they believe in you. And that's fine, but you must learn to guard your energy like treasure. Energy isn't infinite. Every conversation, every connection either deposits or withdraws from your emotional account. Ask yourself, who challenges me to stay sharp? Who makes me feel smaller after I leave them? Who speaks possibility into my life? When you start filtering your environment with those questions, you stop mistaking company for progress. Loneliness with purpose is better than crowds without direction. The mentorship principle. Every level of growth demands a guide, someone who's walked the path you're just starting. Mentorship isn't about ego. It's about acceleration. A mentor collapses decades of trial into moments of wisdom. The wealthy never stop seeking guidance, not because they lack intelligence but because they value perspective. Mentors see your blind spots. They point out patterns you can't see while you're inside them. They save you from mistakes that cost years. But mentorship isn't a shortcut, it's a mirror. It reflects your potential and demands your discipline. When you find one, honor the relationship. Don't ask for handouts, ask for understanding. Don't chase attention, chase alignment. Mentorship is less about help me and more about shape me. Networking versus connection. In the modern world, networking has become a buzzword, but let's be honest, most people are doing it wrong. Networking isn't about collecting contacts. It's about cultivating connections. It's not how many people know your name, it's how many believe in your mission. Real networking is value-driven. It's built on exchange, not extraction. The discipline give before they ask. They bring something to the table, ideas, support, integrity. Because they understand this truth, you can't withdraw from an account you've never deposited into. When you add value first, you don't chase opportunities, opportunities chase you. How relationships shape rich thinking. Your mindset is like soil, it grows whatever seeds are planted in it, and people are those seeds. If your circle complains, doubts, and gossips, your soil becomes toxic. If your circle dreams, plans, and executes, your soil becomes fertile. Every rich thinker is surrounded by dreamers who take action. They share ideas that sound crazy at first but end up changing everything. They don't fear being misunderstood, they fear being surrounded by people who don't understand ambition. When your circle normalizes discipline, wealth becomes inevitable. The power of proximity. You don't have to be rich to start surrounding yourself with rich thinking. Proximity is the first step. Attend seminars. Join mastermind groups. Read biographies. Engage in spaces where excellence lives. You don't need to know billionaires, you need to think like one. And thinking like one begins by immersing yourself in the environments that shape them. Proximity rewires you. It challenges your comfort. It pushes your limits. The people around you create invisible permission to think bigger or smaller. Choose proximity that stretches your imagination, not your excuses. Relationships and reciprocity. Every relationship is a transaction, not in a selfish sense but in the law of exchange. You're always giving or taking energy, time, trust, and attention. If you're always the giver, you'll burn out. If you're always the taker, you'll dry out your network. Balance is key. Give generously but also align wisely. You don't owe access to everyone, you owe loyalty to those who've earned it. Wealthy people guard access like a fortress. Not out of arrogance but awareness. They know access is energy, and energy builds empires. Real-life connection. Think about your daily environment. Who are you texting most? Who are you talking to after work? Who are you learning from? Now ask yourself, are these interactions feeding your focus or draining your direction? Because your network isn't just people, it's input. It shapes your attitude, your actions, and your ambition. It's no coincidence that the most successful people seem to know each other. They attract each other through shared energy and aligned purpose. When your energy shifts, your network shifts. That's not luck, that's law. Building an empowered circle. To build a network that multiplies your results, follow 3 timeless principles. Be the value you seek. Don't wait for powerful connections, become one. Improve your skills, your integrity, your consistency. High-value people recognize each other. Connect with intention. Don't just talk, listen, learn, and align. Ask yourself, how can I serve this person's vision while walking in mine? Elevate your environment. When you grow, your circle should grow too. If your presence doesn't inspire growth in others, you're not a friend, you're a distraction. Great circles challenge each other to level up. That's why the wealthy don't fear outgrowing people, they fear outgrowing purpose. The multiplier effect. One right connection can change everything. A conversation can spark a partnership. A meeting can open a door. A mentor can reveal the shortcut you didn't know existed. That's why networking is not about luck, it's about alignment. Your next level won't come from isolation. It'll come from association. You can have the best ideas, the purest drive, and the strongest will, but without the right people around you, growth will always be slower. The wrong crowd can't push you forward because they don't see what you see. So surround yourself with believers, not doubters. Builders, not talkers. Visionaries, not victims. That's how you multiply your results, through the right relationships. Final thought. Wealth isn't just about money, it's about momentum. And momentum multiplies through connection. Your circle is either your anchor or your engine. Choose people who fuel your mission, not your excuses. Choose people who see your greatness even when you forget it. Because success isn't solo, it's shared. The rich don't climb alone. They build ladders and they build them together. So ask yourself today, who's in my circle, and are they helping me rise or keeping me comfortable? Because at the end of the day, it's simple. If you want to think rich and stay rich, surround yourself with those who already do. That's the network effect. That's the multiplier of discipline. And that's how your relationships can make you wealthier than money ever could. Chapter 8, Focus and Flow, Mastering the Art of Deep Work. In a world of noise, focus is wealth. Because the greatest currency you have isn't time, it's attention. Everyone has 24 hours, but not everyone knows how to own their hours. Most people are distracted, scattered, reactive, scrolling their dreams away one notification at a time. The rich think differently. They guard their attention like treasure because they understand this. Where focus goes, fortune flows. The silent thief of success. Distraction doesn't knock, it creeps in quietly. A quick check on your phone turns into 30 minutes of scrolling. A simple conversation turns into an hour of complaining. A day of just catching up becomes a week of stagnation. You don't lose your goals all at once. You lose them in moments. Moments when focus fades and impulse takes over. The world is designed to keep you distracted. Every app, every ad, every algorithm is fighting for your attention. But the disciplined mind? It fights back. It learns to say no to noise so it can say yes to growth. The myth of multitasking. We've been sold a lie that doing more means achieving more. But the truth is brutal. Multitasking is a productivity killer dressed as efficiency. Your brain can't truly focus on two things at once. It just switches rapidly between them, burning energy, reducing performance, and increasing mistakes. The wealthy don't chase busy. They chase clarity. Because success isn't about motion, it's about direction. Every time you split your attention, you dilute your results. Every time you chase everything, you end up catching nothing. Focus is what separates activity from achievement. Deep work, the superpower of the modern age. In an economy built on distraction, deep work is your unfair advantage. Deep work means creating without interruption, thinking without distraction, building without noise. It's what turns average effort into exceptional results. When you enter deep work, time slows. Ideas connect. Execution flows. You move from forced productivity to effortless momentum. That's what elite performers tap into, not motivation but immersion. They don't chase focus, they design for it. Designing your focus zone. You can't expect deep focus in a shallow environment. You must build an ecosystem that demands concentration. Start with your physical space. Clear your desk. Clutter breeds confusion. Silence your phone, even one buzz breaks flow. Keep only what serves your current task. Then control your digital space. Turn off notifications. Block distracting sites during focus hours. Use apps that track attention, not drain it. Finally, master your mental space. Begin each day with intention. Set a single focus goal per session. Treat your time like money because it is. When you protect your focus, your productivity doubles without working harder. The flow state. There's a rhythm to focus, a zone where effort feels effortless. That's flow. Athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs all chase it. Flow happens when three things align. A clear goal. Full concentration. A challenge just beyond your comfort zone. It's the sweet spot between anxiety and boredom, where your skills are stretched but your confidence stays intact. In flow, hours feel like minutes and output feels infinite. You stop forcing discipline because the work itself becomes rewarding. The secret isn't to wait for flow, it's to create conditions for it daily. That's how the disciplines stay productive even when they're not motivated. The price of attention. Every distraction costs you, not just in time but in momentum. Studies show that it takes the brain over 20 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. So those quick checks, your phone, your messages, your taps, are killing more progress than you realize. The wealthy know this. They batch their work. They block their hours. They guard their mornings. Because they understand that attention is a muscle. The more you protect it, the stronger it gets. Focus fatigue is real, so don't waste your best mental energy on trivial things. Use your sharpest hours on your biggest goals. That's not time management, that's energy management. Routine, the weapon of the focused. Focus thrives on rhythm. When your day has structure, your mind stops wasting energy deciding what to do next. That's why high performers don't rely on willpower, they rely on systems. They build rituals. Morning clarity sessions. Scheduled deep work blocks. Set times for rest and reflection. Discipline isn't restriction, it's liberation. Because when your actions are structured, your creativity expands. Routine frees your mind from chaos. It transforms focus from a fight into a flow. Eliminate to dominate. You don't need more time, you need less clutter. Every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. That's why minimalism isn't just an aesthetic, it's a focus strategy. The disciplined mind asks constantly, what's essential? What's noise? What deserves my energy? When you remove the unnecessary, the necessary becomes unstoppable. You don't build discipline by adding, you build it by subtracting. Focus is emotional, not just mental. You can't focus if your emotions are scattered. Anger, worry, guilt, they fragment your attention before your phone ever does. That's why emotional regulation is part of productivity. You can't think rich if you feel poor inside. Breathe before reacting. Rest before quitting. Reflect before deciding. Calmness is a competitive advantage. Because in chaos, everyone reacts, but the focused respond. Real-life focus practices. If you want to build iron discipline around focus, start small but consistent. The Power Hour. Dedicate 1 uninterrupted hour daily to deep work. No phone. No noise. Just execution. The 3-goal rule. Never set more than 3 priorities per day. Anything beyond that scatters your focus. Digital fasting. Take a day weekly without social media or unnecessary apps. Watch your mental clarity return. Micro rest. Every 90 minutes, step away for 5. Movement recharges focus more than caffeine ever will. Evening reset. Plan tomorrow before bed. A clear tomorrow begins with closure today. These habits seem simple, but consistency compounds clarity. The discipline behind focus. Most people wait for motivation to start. The disciplines start first, and motivation follows. Because focus isn't about feeling ready. It's about choosing direction despite distraction. Winners don't chase convenience, they chase control. They understand that mastery is born in boredom, when you do the hard, repetitive work no one else wants to. Focus is the bridge between desire and discipline. It's where you prove whether you're serious or just interested. When you train your mind to focus, you train your life to follow through. Focus and wealth. Money follows attention. Every successful venture began with someone focusing deeply on a single problem, a single vision, a single mission. The reason most people never build lasting wealth isn't lack of opportunity, it's lack of sustained focus. They start strong then drift. They begin projects then abandon them halfway. But the wealthy finish. They stay locked in. They build through the boredom. Focus turns potential into profit. Because what you water grows, and what you neglect fades. Final thought. Focus is freedom. When your attention belongs to you, the world can't control you. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop chasing balance and start living with clarity. The undisciplined mind looks for motivation. The disciplined mind looks for mastery. That's how you think rich and stay rich, by mastering the art of deep work, flow, and focused energy. Remember this. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. And your ability to guard your attention determines your ability to build your fortune. So turn off the noise. Tune into purpose. And let your focus build the empire your dreams deserve. Chapter 9. Wealth and Well-Being, the Energy of Sustained Success. Let's be honest. What's the point of getting rich if you're too exhausted to enjoy it? What's the purpose of freedom if your health becomes your new prison? We live in a generation that glorifies hustle but forgets humanity. We've confused exhaustion with excellence and burnout with commitment. And yet, the truth remains, energy is the foundation of every fortune. Without it, your ideas fade, your consistency breaks, and your discipline dies slowly. That's why true wealth begins inside, not in your bank account but in your body, your mind, and your inner peace. The hidden cost of the hustle. Everyone talks about grinding, staying up late, doing whatever it takes. But here's what they don't tell you. Hustle without health is a time bomb. You can't pour from an empty vessel. You can't lead if your body is breaking down. You can't sustain wealth with a fatigued mind. Many self-made millionaires will quietly admit, their biggest mistake wasn't losing money, it was losing balance. They built wealth at the expense of well-being. They had the cars, the deals, the followers, but no peace. Because they never realized that success without wellness is disguised failure. The energy equation. Think of yourself as a system. Energy in, energy out. If you're constantly outputting, thinking, working, planning, pushing, without replenishing, eventually the system crashes. Energy fuels focus, creativity, and emotional control. It's the oxygen for discipline. Without energy, your decisions weaken. You lose patience. You lose clarity. You lose drive. That's why the world's top performers protect their energy like it's gold. They schedule rest, nutrition, and recovery with the same seriousness they schedule meetings. Because they know, if your energy fails, everything fails. The 3 pillars of energy. There are 3 forms of energy you must master if you want to stay rich, physically, mentally, and emotionally. 1. Physical energy. Your body is your first business. If it's weak, every other business suffers. Fuel it with intention. Eat clean, not convenient. Move daily, sweat sharpens your mind. Sleep like it's sacred. Hydrate, energy needs flow. The wealthy don't just work hard, they recover hard. Because recovery multiplies performance. A rested mind thinks clearer. A nourished body executes faster. A strong system outlasts chaos. 2. Mental energy. Your thoughts either drain you or drive you. Every complaint, every worry, every negative loop burns fuel you could be using to create. That's why the disciplined mind filters thoughts like a gatekeeper. They focus on what they can control. They stay grounded in gratitude. They reset through silence and solitude. Mental clarity is a luxury few can afford, because it requires discipline to disconnect. Silence isn't laziness, it's mental hygiene. 3. Emotional energy. Your emotions are not enemies, they're signals. But when you let them rule you, they drain your energy faster than work ever could. Worry, anger, comparison. These are emotional leaks. Every minute spent envying someone else's when could have been used fueling your own. Emotional wealth means peace under pressure. It means staying steady when things fall apart. That calmness? It's not luck, it's training. The rich don't avoid emotion, they master it. The wealth of wellness. You've probably seen this before. A successful entrepreneur suddenly steps away for health reasons. That's not random, it's the price of ignoring the body for too long. Real luxury isn't a car, a mansion, or a yacht. It's waking up with energy, clarity, and excitement for another day. The disciplined rich invest in wellness early because they know prevention is cheaper than repair. They buy organic food, not just fancy clothes. They hire trainers and coaches, not just drivers. They meditate as much as they negotiate. They understand your body is the vehicle of your destiny. You can't drive far with an empty tank. Stress, the silent thief. Stress is a currency you spend unconsciously. And the more you spend, the poorer your peace becomes. Success will always bring pressure, deadlines, decisions, demands. But discipline isn't about avoiding pressure. It's about managing it wisely. You can't control the storm, but you can control the sail. The wealthy don't escape stress, they regulate it. They pause before reacting. They delegate. They disconnect when needed. Because they know, your mind doesn't need more time, it needs more space. You can't think strategically when your nervous system is in survival mode. Harmony, not balance. Forget work-life balance. That phrase assumes both sides are equal, they're not. Life will always pull harder than work. The key is harmony, aligning your health, your purpose, and your hustle into one rhythm. When you're in harmony, work energizes you, not drains you. Success feels meaningful, not mechanical. Rest becomes part of progress, not an interruption. That's the art of sustainable wealth. Because being rich for 5 years is easy. Staying rich for 50, that takes energy mastery. Protecting your energy field. You must also guard the invisible, your environment. Toxic people drain your emotional reserves. Negative spaces drain your inspiration. Digital overload drains your attention. Audit your energy leaks. Ask yourself daily, who energizes me? Who exhausts me? What fuels me? What empties me? What habits give more than they take? The wealthy prune their circles, curate their input, and choose their energy like they choose investments, for return. If it doesn't pay back in peace, it's too expensive. The discipline of rest. Rest is not quitting, it's recalibrating. The disciplined don't rest out of fatigue, they rest to stay effective. They understand that tired decisions cost millions. A clear mind produces more in one focused hour than an exhausted one in a full day. So schedule recovery. Sleep early. Stretch. Meditate. Reflect. Recharge like it's your duty because it is. Your dreams deserve your best energy, not your leftover energy. Real-life reflection. Think of the most successful people you know, not just financially but emotionally. They all have one thing in common: energy discipline. They don't wake up and hope to feel good, they engineer it. Morning routines. Breathwork. Journaling. Gratitude. Boundaries. It's not luxury, it's leverage. The undisciplined chase success until they collapse. The wise build success around their energy flow. Because energy is wealth. Without it, even money loses meaning. Final thought. You can't stay rich with a poor body. You can't stay productive with a polluted mind. You can't stay fulfilled with a drained spirit. Lasting fortune belongs to those who live in alignment, whose inner wealth matches their outer success. So eat with purpose. Move with passion. Rest with respect. Protect your peace like it's profit. Because your body is your first asset. Your energy is your greatest investment. And your peace, your most priceless possession. Think rich. Stay rich. But above all, live well enough to enjoy both. Chapter 10, The Legacy Code, Building Wealth That Outlives You. There comes a moment when chasing success isn't enough anymore. A moment when money loses its shine, and the question shifts from, how much can I make, to what will remain when I'm gone? That moment, that shift, is when you cross into legacy. You've built the discipline. You've trained the focus. You've mastered your energy. Now comes the ultimate test. Can you make your wealth matter? Because true richness isn't measured in possessions, it's measured in permanence. Legacy is wealth that breathes beyond your lifetime. It's the echo of your discipline, your principles, and your impact. The myth of success ends with me. Most people chase comfort, not contribution. They build just enough to feel secure, but not enough to transform others. And yet, history only remembers those who built for something bigger than themselves. Legacy isn't about having more, it's about meaning more. It's the decision to live intentionally so that your work, your story, and your example continue to teach long after you're gone. That's why high performers don't just accumulate, they architect. They design lives that inspire movement. They plant seeds in others that grow into forests of possibility. The 3 stages of wealth. If you look closely, every wealth journey passes through 3 stages. Survival, making it. You work for security. Every dollar matters. You're learning discipline, consistency, and grit. Success, managing it. You stabilize. You build systems. You protect your assets. You move from reaction to intention. Significance, multiplying it. You create impact. You fund dreams beyond your own. You invest in others. The first 2 make you rich. The third makes you unforgettable. Legacy lives in stage 3. It's where wealth stops being personal and starts being purposeful. Money is a tool, not a throne. Wealth was never meant to worship, it was meant to work. When you see money as a tool, not a trophy, your entire relationship with it changes. You start asking, how can I make this serve? Instead of, how can I make this shine? Every coin becomes a seed. Every decision becomes a ripple. Legacy builders think generationally. They create foundations, systems, and values that protect wealth from decay and greed. Because money without meaning disappears. But money tied to purpose multiplies. Values over valuables. Legacy is built on values, not valuables. Valuables can be stolen, sold, or forgotten. Values live forever. If you want to think rich and stay rich, start defining what your wealth represents. Is it freedom? Family? Service? Growth? Impact? When your values guide your finances, your wealth gains soul. You stop buying to impress and start building to express. Your life stops being a performance and starts becoming a pattern others can follow. Teaching the next generation. The biggest mistake successful people make is assuming their children will just figure it out. But inheritance without wisdom destroys faster than poverty ever did. That's why legacy is taught, not transferred. You must teach the next generation the principles behind the prosperity, not just the profits. Teach them discipline, patience, gratitude, and vision. Let them see how hard you worked, how long you waited, how often you failed, and how you never stopped. Because when they inherit your mindset, not just your money, your legacy becomes unbreakable. The power of impact. The richest people aren't always the ones with the most, they're the ones who give the most. Because generosity multiplies energy, influence, and fulfillment. When you help others rise, your own success deepens. Every act of contribution, a mentorship, a donation, a moment of kindness, extends your legacy. It writes your name into stories you'll never hear and lives you'll never meet. That's real wealth, To live in such a way that your success becomes someone else's starting point. Time, the final currency. You can recover money. You can rebuild reputation. But you can't reclaim time. That's why legacy is about how you spend your remaining moments, not how much you have left. The disciplined rich live each day as if it counts, because it does. They make time serve purpose. They align their schedules with their soul. They don't rush through life chasing finish lines. They live deliberately, every conversation, every choice, every silence crafted to mean something. Time spent intentionally becomes timeless. Systems that outlive you. Legacy isn't about being remembered, it's about being replicated. The wise don't just leave wealth, they leave frameworks. They create businesses that operate without them. They build communities that sustain each other. They establish values so clear that their presence is still felt generations later. That's what systems do, they turn effort into eternity. And that's why discipline matters most in the end. Because your habits today become someone's foundation tomorrow. Living legacy now. You don't have to wait until you're gone to build legacy. Start now, in your home, your work, your friendships, your influence. Every time you act with integrity, you're building legacy. Every time you choose excellence over ease, you're building legacy. Every time you lift someone else while you climb, you're building legacy. Legacy isn't someday. It's daily. It's in the details of how you live, love, lead, and leave spaces better than you found them. The discipline of legacy. Legacy demands long-term thinking. It asks you to plant trees whose shade you may never sit under. That's why the undisciplined rarely build legacy, because they live only for today. But the wise see further. They play the infinite game. Every disciplined choice you make, saving, learning, investing, teaching, adds bricks to your eternal foundation. Your discipline today becomes someone's direction tomorrow. The wealth you leave behind. Someday your bank accounts will close. Your name may fade. Your possessions may scatter. But your principles, your words, your actions, your influence, will echo through the lives you've touched. That's why you must build with eternity in mind. Because legacy is the only kind of wealth that never depreciates. Final thought, the call to action. So here's your challenge. Don't just think rich. Don't just stay rich. Live rich, in purpose, in discipline, and in legacy. Leave behind proof that you lived intentionally, that you stood for something, that your life added value to others. From this day forward, build with meaning. Start that project. Mentor that soul. Save that income. Teach that principle. Share that story. Because someone out there needs your example to believe it's possible. And when your time is done, may your life speak louder than your success. May your legacy say, this is what happens when discipline meets destiny. That's how you think rich. That's how you stay rich. And that's how you live forever.